There we go. We getting set up, y'all. Howdy, howdy. It is, it will be, it has been a blessed and prosperous day. Welcome back to week two. Yes, I'm so excited, but I'm very disappointed. I'm gonna start there because I know a lot of you guys are watching back. Listen, I want to go live with you. That is my goal. I want to be able to get instantaneous conversation and feedback from the audience to know what you need to know, what you don't know, what's going over your head. All right. So listen, this is our goal. As a community, we need 50 followers on YouTube, 100 followers on Facebook, 1,000 followers on IG. We are shooting for the goal. Okay. So if you in, I want to make sure that you are liking, you are sharing, you are subscribing to all of our channels. Mac Foundation, that's M.A.C.C, Frank Douglas Nancy, FDN. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, welcome back to week two. If you don't remember who I am, I'm Sophia M. Barnett, the executive director and founder of the Mac Foundation, also known as your money mama, better known as Lady Wisdom. So I'm excited to be back with you guys. We have another exciting week. If you missed last week, the replay is live on YouTube right now. Once again, you can go to YouTube, search M.A.C.C Foundation. It will come right on up for you. All right. Oh, let me make sure. Put my phone to do not disturb. We don't want no disturbances, right? Even though we may or may not get some, but that's neither here nor there. I want to wait a little minute to probably get some more background guests an opportunity to join us on Zoom. If you did not know, you can actually participate right in the room with us. If you go to our website, Making a Child Change, FDN, that's short for foundation.org, ORG, organization. You can register, click on events, and you can actually, you know what? How about I show you? I can make it very simple for you. The power of being on the internet, right? So let's stop share. Let's get this open. New window for you. Get back over here to the Zoom room. New screen share. Beautiful. So I'm going to take us home. What's my home page? You know what it is? Making a Child Change Foundation, of course. Once you get to our lovely website, you're going to go right on over to events. Click that, upcoming events. Make sure you subscribe to our newsletter. It comes out quarterly. If you would like to, another reminder for subscribe comes right on up if you forget that to pass by that first one. We also have our GoFundMe campaign for our capital campaign on here as well. But if you go down just underneath that, you'll see the Financial Fitness Friday live Q&A. You're going to click that RSVP button. New screen is going to come up, some information in case you want to know. You can select all of the dates in order to be able to get in the background. They give you another opportunity to click the RSVP, put your name, your email in, and answer. What is your greatest financial challenge? And guess what? That locks you into the room. It is just that simple. We're not trying to scam you. We just want you to be active. That's it. I love it. Beautiful. So now we're back to week two. So, in case you have no clue who we are, I'm always willing to introduce you. We're Making a Child Change Foundation right here in Detroit, Michigan, where we're building the bridge from poverty to prosperity. Sophia, what exactly does that mean? Our ultimate goal is to empower determined teens with the knowledge and skills they need to achieve balance and prosperity in life. What is the knowledge? Financial literacy knowledge. Okay. I did my spiel last week about why it's so important. I'm not going to keep doing that. So, how do we achieve this? We do it through our 3E programming. We have financial literacy education, we have employment opportunities, and we have entrepreneurial training. And we envision a future where financial literacy is the standard in education, wealth is equally distributed, and poverty is eliminated. I broke all of that down last week, so go check out week one of Financial Fitness Friday if you want to know the details of how we came to the mission and vision and more importantly, how that vision plays out. It's not always exactly what you read, but it's what you know. Amen. Amen. I'll reintroduce myself again. I'm the executive director. I'm also an author and speaker. My primary goal as a social economic justice advocate is to advocate for low income teens in African American and poverty stricken communities, the black and brown people all over the world. I speak up for us. I go to the meetings with the Michigan representatives. I sit on different councils and boards to make sure that they understand the need that we have in our local communities. I'm also the curriculum writer. What you're experiencing during our Financial Fitness Friday is our samples of our curriculum. I'm only giving you guys teasers and pieces of it. If you want to be able to be a part of it as a team, we have our after school program coming up starting on this Tuesday. And if you're interested as a parent and or teacher and or school board and or organization, private organization who's interested in having your children the opportunity to get taught real life hands-on experience with finances, then you can go over to our link tree. We have several applications there for everyone, depending on your need. Okay. I'm also a self-proclaimed economepreneur. What is that? Now, I told you guys I was going to tell you about it. So I guess this week, because we're talking about paychecks and income, let me tell you what an economepreneur is. So an entrepreneur is someone who starts businesses for the primary gain of being able to make money. Right? An economepreneur, however, understands the difference about not just starting a business for self, but it's about affecting the economy. Right? So i.e., perfect example, when we started our restaurant, Mac Burgers, which we're going to talk about a little later. When we started that restaurant, it was not just so we can get tons of money based off of sales. It was to affect the local economy. We're paying teens, right, living wages, starting off at $15 an hour. I guess I'll talk about it now. We start off with teens making $15 an hour. Our managers start off at $20 an hour. How does this affect the economy? If we are putting more dollars in your pocket, you are now able to continue to circulate that dollar and or save that dollar for your future generations, right? Instead of struggling from paycheck to paycheck. It also changes your tax bracket to where now you don't have to rely on government assistance. Now, I'm not saying the insurance is not, is not worth it, but what I am saying is all of their benefits that they provide for you can handicap you in other ways. So we don't always want to rely on our government. And we also understand that during the shutdown, just how reliable they can be. I'm a licensed minister, which most of you learned last week. Like, yeah, that girl will preach. I'm not trying to preach to you, but what I am very passionate about, I can't help it. Okay, it just permeates out of me, and I digress. And finally, but not least, I'm a mother of three wonderful young adults. You have seen them around on social media. They also have their own businesses and they are gifted in that way. And they have just been a tremendous blessing in my life. And I guess I won't say last but least. The very last thing that I always want to say when introducing myself is I consider myself a successful failure. What does that mean, Sophia? It simply means my first attempt in learning, I did not give up. Okay. A lot of people say that they fall, they fail, they quit, they make a misstep, they make a mistake, they all over the place, things happen. Yes. But the question is, are you going to get back up? Are you going to recognize that, okay, this didn't work the first time? Let me try something different. Are you willing to pivot? Understand, pivots don't require full 180-degree turns. They simply go from this 90 degree to 89 or 91 in either direction that works for you. All right. So, always got to give y'all my warnings, right? Necessities for success. One, you have to understand this only works if you do. I cannot force you to do the stuff. I cannot make you complete the assignments. I cannot uh jump into your life and your reality and make you change anything about yourself. It's impossible. It literally, your accountability has to start with yourself. Your discipline has to start with yourself. Secondly, respect and confidentiality is a must in any class, any forum, any space that I am in. Okay. Everybody has the right to their opinion, their facts, and their beliefs. Don't go running telling everybody's business all over the internet. Okay, especially my viewers in the Zoom room. All right, we're gonna keep this personal and interpersonal. What's the quote? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. What happens in the Zoom room stays in the Zoom room. Okay. Second, active participation. Talk back at me, yell at me, scream at me, come off of mute, drop comments in the chat, have conversations, ask questions. That's the only way I can teach is if I know exactly what is happening within you. Okay. And I want to be able to help you. That's my ultimate goal is that you're successful once you come out of this. And lastly, there are no wrong answers. Like I said, your truth, your beliefs, your opinion, it is what it is. The only thing I can do is to be able to take what you show me to shape it in a way that can become healthy, shape it in a way that can be successful. And then at that point, it's all on you. All right. You ready? You ready? All right. They say they're ready. So I love icebreakers. They just work for me. They're fun. What can I say? In the chat, I want you to put your name, something that you need help with financially, and what is your dream salary? We talking about money today, y'all. Last week we talked about the mind. We got our minds right. Now it's time to get our money right. So go ahead and drop it in the chat. One of the things, go ahead and drop it in the chat. Period. All right. There we go. Now, I will answer first. One of the things that I needed most help with when it came to finances was understanding the alternative means of investing. I knew about stocks and bonds. I knew about savings account. I knew about high yield savings account. I knew about checking accounts. I knew about all of the smaller means in which to be able to save, but it took me a very long time. Well, I ain't gonna say a long time, 5 to 10 years. Okay. It took me a minute to be able to understand the importance of life insurance, to understand whole policies and term policies. What's the difference between those? Right? It makes a huge difference when it comes to long-term financial planning. My dream salary a long time ago, if I could get $1.2 million a year, I was gonna be extremely happy. But after I did the reverse salary sheet, my dreams salary, if I can bank in 120,000 a year, no, it's 125 now, inflation. I can actually take care of every single one of my needs outside of my need and my wants and be able to prepare for the future. A lot of us think that we have to be millionaires a year to be able to live an outstanding life, and you don't. You don't. And if we were in class, we would be able to break that down. Exactly what that is. And I may give y'all a little teaser or a sample today, but we'll see. So, what is today's focus? Money on the mind. Yes, yes, yes. So, we talking about today team paychecks and purpose. Make your money mean something. Okay? Like I told you about the entrepreneur. Like the whole point of it is to make your money mean something. So paychecks and purpose. This particular module is from our do's and don'ts of money. So you guys are gonna get a nice little idea, a sample of what that is. It's our income module, and we're gonna break down the different ways to understand your paycheck today, right? I would love to be able to go deeper, but I only get an hour, and I want to make sure that this hour is as effective and transformational as possible. And so we're going to break down high level things so you can have a greater understanding of what your check is. We're going to do like a little bit of a taste of what budgeting is. Normally, I would have the budget worksheet to give out to you guys, and I will, but in order for you to get it, what I'm going to need you to do is go back over to that website and go ahead and subscribe. Okay, you subscribe to our newsletter. You better yet, it's gonna be the call to action for you. You got you got 4 things you have to do. All right, 4 things, and you get that free fancy budget worksheet that I have. Okay, one, subscribe to our YouTube and stay subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. Right. The second thing you're going to do, You're going to go over to our Instagram page and you're going to follow us there and stay followed, right? The third thing you're going to do is go over to Facebook. And once you do that, subscribe to our newsletter on our website. When I see you did all four of those things, go ahead and drop it in the comment. I'm in 4 ways, and I'll guarantee you get you that budget sheet to your email. All right? That's my promise to you for helping us out to be able to help so many more and to be able to expand our reach. Cool business? Cool business. So, as always, listen, we teach around here. I like conversation. I want you to talk to me. Before we get into understanding the specifics of your money, your paycheck, your dollars that come in, I want you guys to let's have a discussion. What actually impacts your finances? Whether that's directly or indirectly. So directly, right? I'll start it off. Taxes, right? That is a direct hit to your finances. It is unavoidable. You cannot do anything about it if you are working a 9 to 5. Now, if you just so happen to be an entrepreneur out here, guess what? You still technically pay taxes, but there are some very creative ways that accountants have found to be able to lower your taxes, right? To where you don't have to pay as much. But I'm going to say this warning that I say to all entrepreneurs. If you want banks to give you funding for your business, you're going to have to look like you make money. All right. They know. They know exactly what I'm talking about. You can't write everything off and say that you made no money for the year just so you don't have to pay a large amount of taxes. All right? You can do it. But it's going to interfere with you being able to get outside funding from grants, from loans, from banks, because they don't care to look at your paycheck and see that, oh, well, not your paycheck, your tax forms, right? And say that, oh, your AGI only turned out to be $1,000, even though you claimed you made up to $100,000. But all those write-offs, all of those the deductions, everything took it right on down, and now it looked like you made absolutely no money. That's just a little bonus in there. All right. What else impacts your finances? In the chat, come on, talk to me. Directly. Oh, somebody says indirectly. Emergencies. I give you that. Ah, government shutdown. It's not funny. It's not funny, but it is really what's happening right now. Okay, it's sad. It's sad. I laugh to keep from crying. Y'all heard that phrase before, right? Listen, if you are impacted by the government shutdown, contact your credit card companies, contact any of your creditors, contact any of your bills, and let them know now. Do not wait until they have sent you the past due notice. Do not wait until you're getting penalized 30-day late. Do not wait. I promise you. Listen, I'm putting this on my word. If you contact them, they will have a form of assistance for you to make your life easier over this next period of time. Okay. Do not assume that this is going to be okay in 2 or 3 weeks. The average time for a government shutdown of the longest time could be months spread out. All right. I'll make sure I update the specifics in the chat because it's escaping me right now, the numbers. But y'all, if you watched the video last week, you seen I went back and I made sure I corrected myself if I was wrong about something. Because you know I get to talking and my mind will be going faster than my mouth will. So, or if I no, my mouth will be going faster than my mind will. See? Like that, right? Okay. Much love, y'all. Okay, come on, back here. What directly impacts your taxes or your finances? The job you have. Yes, job and or career choice. What else? Come on, y'all, talk to me. Give me some answers. Mm. How about your age for indirectly? A lot of people don't know that. right? When we think about, and I guess technically that could be direct, but we don't think about it as that way. So it's almost like a quiet background type thing. Um, like when you get to a certain age, you now qualify for different things. But a lot of times they're not going to tell you that, right? If you go to an employer, you try to get a job after you've retired, we've seen it. Um, you got people judging you, right? Oh, you're older. Maybe you're not going to be able to move as fast, like that type of thing. Come on, chat, talk to me. What else you got? Ah, yes, yes. Expenses. How about mindset? Didn't we talk about that last week? Look, I'm gonna help y'all. I'm gonna help y'all get y'all some good answers on here, right? Another indirect, your family. We talked about the government shutdown, so that counts as economic conditions, right? Social influences. How many of y'all found yourself shopping more on what is it? TikTok shop, right? Because it's constantly, I don't have TikTok, so this is from me being able to see other people's pages and view them, right? But it's constantly rolling like the different stores that you can shop at, you can buy. Like it's dangerous, I heard. Like it makes shopping so much easier and convenient. It's crazy. What else we looking at? Directly, your savings. Y'all know that. Come on, that's always good. Always good. How about your debt and credit card use? That impacts you. Investments, right? You're choosing to put that money in a different vehicle. I got something else for you. How about your education? Right? What you know about your money can have an impact, or what you don't know. Let's start there. Health, how you're feeling. If you're not able to go to work, now your hours that got cut. If you're mentally tired, you may not be able to perform at the highest level that you need to. So these are some excellent examples. I appreciate your participation. I'm gonna go ahead and print this screen because again, I like to be able to keep the data. I love it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and clear this off for us. And then we can move on. Thank you, thank you, thank you again. I appreciate you. And if you come up with some new ideas in the chat, drop them below. So let's talk about the types of income. My young people always, they want to get to the bag. They want the money, right? They want to know how they gonna get the money. Respect. T.I. got a good song called "If It Ain't About the Money, Don't Even Be Hitting My Line." like it really do be like this sometimes. No lie. So there are three main types of income. Yes, there are multiples that falls in these multiple categories and they have more, but the three that we're going to focus on in our course is going to be active income, passive income, and portfolio income. So, Sophia, what in the heck are you talking about? I thought it was just you got a job, you made money, you had your own business, you sold things, you had clients. That's money. Yes, yes, and yes, it all is. You are 150% right. But those types of monies comes in different categories. So, what is active income? everything that we just listed beforehand. So that is literally you are changing your time for the dollar. So that is your 9 to 5. That is you clocking in. That is you starting your own business and being the leader that actually has to make the money, right? Like if you don't get the clients, if you don't make the sales, then you won't get any income. Okay, so active income. Why is it important to understand what active income is? A lot of people complain about not making enough money for the time that they're giving in. So you think about anybody who's part-time at a job, they generally work a minimum of 20 hours, um, or should I say a minimum of 25 and under qualifies you as part-time. For managers, is 32 hours. So as a part-time employee, you're going 25 hours a week, $10 an hour. That is the time that you are trading for the money. So in order for you to be able to take that $10 home, you're going to have to show up that hour, right? You get me? In order for you to make a sale, you're going to have to be the one to have that conversation with that customer. So whether that sale, that product is worth $100, $200, $50, whatever it is, you're trading the time for the money. For those physical entrepreneurs, those people who have snow businesses and Lord, I mean horticultural businesses, right? Lawn and service care. If you don't have employees, then you are actively doing the work, then that is active income. All right. What is passive income? Passive income means that the money comes to you and you are not doing the work, right? So that is now being a manager of a business, not a manager of somebody else's company. Why is there a difference there? To be a manager of somebody else's company requires you to clock in. To be a manager of your own business does not necessarily require you to clock in. It does require you to have the means to be able to pay your employees to now do the work for you. Aha. That's the blessing, right? That's a form of passive income once you get there. Other forms of passive income, right? Bank accounts. So when we talk, and I'm not talking about your regular everyday run of the mill bank account. I'm talking about high yield interest bank accounts. I'm talking about CDs. I'm talking about stocks. I'm talking about investment for layers, right? To where that money makes money while you're asleep. If you wrote a book, that is passive income. It only requires you to do something one time. You're able to put it somewhere, and guess what? Set it and forget it. That's what I like to call the passive income. The set it and forget it. You wake up the next day, you know, sold 2 copies, 3 copies, 100 copies. The money is just in your account. Passive income. If you decide to invest in the stock market, or if you decide to put your money in a high yield savings account and the interest comes in, that's passive income. You didn't have to do anything for the interest other than just to sit your money there. Which your money is going to be sitting anyway, whether it's going to be in your hand or it's going to be somewhere else, the money is going to be there. Right? Exactly. So that's different types of passive income. Portfolio income is when it's the stocks portion of it, but instead of holding on to it and getting the gains, you're now selling it. And so now you're selling it higher than the value in which you purchased it. So a car would not be portfolio income, right? Because generally, when you buy that car, it automatically lost value when you left off the lot. But you can resell it and you can get some money back, but you're not getting the full 35, 40, $75,000 that you circulated for that car. It's not going to happen. Also, when we think about insurance policies, that's portfolio income, right? This generation, the person who has the insurance policy is not going to get the money, but the next generation that it is left to now has that portfolio income coming in for them. So they didn't have to do any work to get it. They woke up, God rest their soul of the person who passed, and they were able to leave them some money. So understand there are different ways that you can make your money. They say the best way to make money is the money that makes its money on its own. So if you can push your money into some type of vehicle that'll automatically be collecting interest, that'll automatically be collecting gains as it grows, then you are in a winning season. And it's not anything less than, right? That's what I want you to understand. You're not lazy. You found a better way to make your money. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Let's keep going. So once you get your money, right, the next thing you want to do is you want to budget it. Why do I want to do a budget? Everybody I talk to, from my clients, from my old business, all the way up to the teens that I talk to in the classrooms, from the parents that I still interact with, are scared of the big B word, the budget. The budget is not going to hurt you. Yes, I'm pausing. The budget is not going to hurt you. The budget is not law. Okay? People think when they make a budget like they life is over. It is not over. It is probably so much simpler, right? And I like the backtrack budget. Okay? That means when I first sit down with you as a client and we're having a conversation about your expenses and your income and your goals for the future, we're not going to start with tomorrow. We're not even going to start with today. We're going to talk about yesterday. Why are we talking about yesterday? Because the only way to know who you are is to review your old spending habits. Yeah, it's true. You'll know a lot about a person. You'll know a lot about yourself if you actually tracked and kept up with a budget. So, what is this on the screen? This is an example of the government budget. That's what I like to call it. And we all know what the government is good for. That was a hit, but nothing here, there. So this is the average budget that you will hear about in your math classes. This is what you probably have learned about all of your life. The 50, 30, 20, right? They want you to, once you get your net income, 50% of it should go towards your needs. 30% should go towards your wants, and the other 20% should go towards your savings. Now that is cute and it is nice. But when we talk about being responsible for our dollars and having a clear understanding of how all of it works together, we just don't want to look at a net income check. Why is that so important? Because guess who got their first cut? The government, the taxes, the IRS, aka Uncle Sam. He done dipped all up in your dollars before it even made it to your bank account, your direct deposit, or your paycheck, paper check, if y'all still old school it out there. But like I told you last week, a lot of you guys don't even look at your check stubs. So you literally then did all of that work. You don't know if they paid you accurately. Look at your check stubs. That way, if there's an error, you can correct it. And you want to be able to get paid a ladder. You want to get paid exactly what you worked, right? Because if you're in the active income bracket, you don't want to be shortchanged when you put all your time into anything. You don't want to do it. So that is why we don't want to just do the standard everyday budget. 50, 30, 20. It's nice, but it's not right. So we like to introduce you to the boss budget. Okay. It's still broken down the same way, but it allows you to now work off of your gross income and not just your net income. Because if you are salaried at a higher amount, you need to understand what tax bracket you are falling into. So if you're making over 69,500 a year, $69,500 a year, you're in a higher tax bracket. And depending on if you have dependents, depending on your age group, also now determines what tax bracket you are in. And then for those who are on a lower tax bracket, which are people who have dependents, I mean you have kids, people who are married, people who like just starting off, some college students can fall into a lower tax bracket. You generally, if you're single over the age of 18, they're going to boost you to that higher tax bracket of close to 25%, right? And you need to know that because when you take a job offer and they say, hey, we're going to pay you $75,000, you're not going to receive $75,000. And you need to know that up front, exactly what your tax bracket is. So you can say, and I'm pulling out my handy dandy calculator. If I make 75,000 and I'm in a higher tax bracket of 25%, right? Then that means they're going to roughly take $18,750 from my check. That's what they're going to take. And that's going to leave me with approximately, my calculator going wonky. Let me go ahead and clear this out. 75,000 minus 18,750. 56,000. So you're only touching 56. And if you working somewhere part-time in 2025, let's say you're making a $15 out. No, the average person not gonna make 15, but we're gonna say 15. You're making $15 an hour, working 25 hours a week, 52 weeks in a year. You're only banking $19,500, right? And then you put yourself in that same tax bracket, and I'm gonna say generally, you don't have no kids, no dependents. Now you're paying 4875, $4,875 in taxes, which brings home less than 14,000. This is the stuff you need to know and to be able to calculate as a worker, as a boss, as anybody who was taking home money and the government has an opportunity to be able to cash out on it first. You need to have full control of that. The boss, be the boss of your finances. So let me go back because there's something I wanted to review when I talk about that interview sheet about your budget and about your finances and why is it so important to know your previous history. When we do our assessments, we're going based off of your last 30-day month. Not the last 30 days, but the last 30-day month. The reason we do that is because generally the way you circulated your money in the past is the same way you will circulate your money in the future. And there are a few one-offs, but that's the reason why you want to do a budget for the whole year. You want to know exactly what you want to circulate your money on. The only way you're going to be able to save appropriately is to know exactly how much money you have available to save. When you get your salary amount and your dollars and you know exactly how much you're going to make for the year and you know exactly what your expenses is, meaning rent don't change, right? That's a luxury. Your light and gas bill may fluctuate, but we know for us in this northern hemisphere that the heating bill is normally higher in the winter months, right? We understand that in the summertime, the electricity is higher because we're now using air conditioning. Those are just things that you learn through experience. But guess what? Because somebody has the experience, I can tell you about it and I can teach you ahead of time. Our phone bills generally don't change from month to month. A lot of major companies now do monthly plans to where everything is the same. When I was growing up, though, like in my teenage years, baby, your bill could change from month to month because it was based off of how many minutes you used and the time of the day that you used your phone. I'm dating myself, but just know it's facts. Okay? It's just the way it is. But when you know the habits that you have, right? I always joke and tell people when you went to the gas station and you said, I want to change on pump three, what else did you get when you was in the gas station? Did you get snacks? Did you get those lovely pack of cigarettes that that people smoke? Did you get something from the subway in the back? Right? Whatever it is, you did not look when you looked at that receipt and it said $40, you didn't get $40 in gas from the gas station. And you have to be honest with yourself when it comes to managing your finances because the only way you're going to know where you can cut or you can add or replace and or delete is if you specifically know how you were circulating your money. Now, they have thousands of apps, your bank app, your cash app. Everybody has it, beautiful grids and graphs that you can see exactly what you spent your money on. But the reason I want you to be so detailed and OCD about it is because, again, when you swipe that card at the mobile, it's just going to say mobile gas station purchase. You have to be the responsible party to tell yourself and be honest, I didn't just get $40 worth of gas. That's just the point that I'm making. Now, let's get back to the boss budget. All right. So, if you're in a lower tax bracket, you're generally going to get charged 15% taxes a year. That is, you can get some people who can get down to about an 8.7, right? But on the average, the lowest taxes people pay is about 15%. That's just on average. Okay. Now, why do we want to know how much taxes the government is taking out of my check? Why does it matter? They taking it anyway. It's nothing I can do about it. Because I'm a firm believer that if you can give Uncle Sam 15%, then the least you can give yourself is 15% to save. Okay? And that's just not just saving. That's also if you want to invest some of that money. If that's also if a part of setting aside for your 3 to 6 months salary, whatever it is that you're using that savings for. If you're okay with Uncle Sam getting 15%, you need to be okay with getting you're paying yourself 15%. That's the next person you pay, right? And if you're in a higher tax bracket, then guess what? I look at it like this: you get to save even more. Right? So generally, the highest tax bracket I have come across is roughly 30%, but on average, 25%. So then that means you should also be saving 25%. It may look like it's going to hurt, but I promise you it won't. And then the rest is left over for your needs and for your wants. What is the difference between a need and a want? I'm going to let y'all go ahead and drop that in the chat, right? What do you think the difference between a need and a want is? And don't give me the Webster's Dictionary version of it. I want you to be straight up, blunt force trauma to the face, honest. Okay? Tell me like it is. What is the difference to you? All right. We're going to keep it moving. I told you I'm not telling you. We ain't even going to discuss it, but I want you to be able to tell me what you think the difference is. And why is it important to know the difference? So once we understand all of that, right, this is how the process goes when we're creating our financial plan. We just don't want money to rain. We want it to collect. All right. So first step is understanding your cash flow. What is a cash flow, Sophia? Cash flow is exactly what it says. It is how your money flows. I want to be able to do this better. But hopefully you can see it's like a seashell, right? When you think about the arrows, what goes in and what is coming out. So, inflow of the cash is your income. That's any monies that you're getting. If you're still in middle school or elementary school or younger high school, that counts as allowance. That counts as those birthday gifts that you get. The money that Granny and them be putting in them cards, that's income. Now, I will tell you this, it's not active income. It is definitely passive income. Okay? That is the blessing, right? Is when somebody can give you money without you having to work for it. Oh, baby, don't we all wish we can have the angels come down and do that for us again? But nonetheless, that is income. Start planning now what you do with that 5 and 10 and $20 that granny gave you or that your uncle and aunties give you every year. You can be ahead of the game. If you know every birthday, such and such is gonna drop that nice $50 in there. Don't run out and try to eat the $50. Let's do it based off of the brackets. You young, we're gonna put you in the lower tax bracket. 15% of that $50, so 10% would be 5. What's the quickest way? We gonna do some math lessons here, right? If you have $50, if you have the decimal after the zero, if you want 10%, you simply just move the decimal over to your left. That's the easiest way to calculate percentages. So if we have $50 and we want 10% of that, that puts us at $5. And if we know we are looking for 15%, so we already got 10 of that, is 5% left. So half of 10 is 5. So if $5 is 10%, then 5% has to be $2.50. So then we know 15% of $50 that Granny gave you is $7.50. You can put this in a calculator for all you lovelies who have your cell phones. You can you ain't got to do the math in your head, okay? Life made it easy for us. My grandfather made me do math in my head. So I didn't have no choice. I love using the calculator sometimes just to be lazy. It just frees up mental space. But nonetheless, I digress. That $7.50, act like you had to pay taxes, right? Put that into a savings account. If you don't have a bank account, put it under your mattress. If you don't have a mattress, put it in an old shoebox. If you don't have a shoebox and you trust your parents, ask them to open you a bank account. They have student accounts. You wouldn't have to worry about them charging you interest on it, no fees. No, better yet, you wouldn't have to worry about them charging you fees on it. You want them to be able to give you interest earned on it, though. So your parent can get you a high yield savings account for students. Put the $7.50 in there. The other $7.50, right? Because remember, we're always matching whatever the government can get, we can get. That $7.50 is now for you. What do you want to save it on? Or do you want to buy a new bike? Are you saving up for that car? Right? Whatever it is, be very specific with your saving goal. Why are you putting the money to the side? It helps you several ways. One, it's a motivation factor. When you tell people to save money, they don't want to do it. But if you tell them, hey, you're saving for a trip, you're saving for an activity in school, you're saving to be able to I don't know, the list of stuff. I can keep making them up, but you know what I mean. When you have an idea of why you want to save specifically, then it's more motivational to be able to see that account grow. It just does something to you. That's why I tell people don't do emergency savings. And I'm not saying you don't prepare for an emergency, meaning losing your income that you have. What I am saying is, if you know you own a house, then that means you should always have some type of form of saving for the house expenses because you may have to replace your roof. Your gutters may go down. You need lawn care, right? The furnace, the water heater, that type of stuff shuts down. It is not always running and brand new. I know my teens is looking like, I ain't never had to see that. I promise you, that's the blessing. You don't have to see it. But this is the conversation you need to know really does exist in real time and in real life. You need to know this because when you become an adult, you're going to need to know it. Same thing with your car. Your car just don't run on good looks. It don't run because it's washed, right? You're going to need an oil change. You know that you're going to need tires. You know that the car is going to need maintenance. Start saving for that specifically. All right? Cool. So understanding cash flow. What are your expenses? Right? Now that you know what your income is, what exactly do you have to circulate these dollars on from month to month to month? And you just do it. If you only get paid weekly, and you'll never get any money after that, like your parents drop you down one time a month and say, here you go, make it work, then that means you need to spread that out over the 4 weeks and understand that. If you're an adult and you're getting social security benefits or pension and you only get paid once a month, you need to be able to space that out over the 4 weeks, right? $1,200 for 1 month for 4 weeks, that's $300 a week. What bills do you have that's due within that time frame? What activities do you have that you're going out to participate in? Make sure that that stuff is calculated and evaluated. And if you're still paying rent, for example, or a mortgage in your older age, then you want to make sure that that money is taken off the top and then the rest of it is divvied out. Pay your bills up up front. Excuse me. My bad, y'all. Pay your bills up front. That way you know exactly all the money that you have that remains for the rest of the month. Just some little tips, some nibbits, right? So once you understand your cash flow, the second thing to do is to organize and to plan. And that's what a budget is. A budget is simply telling your money exactly what you want it to do every single month. Sophia, you got a budget? Yes, I do have a budget, and I budget for the year. If I know exactly how much money I'm making for the whole year, I can budget for the year because I like to travel. That is my thing. I like to eat good and I like to travel. And I'm a cheap traveler. I'm not spending thousands of dollars on the trip. And baby, I like to go for 3+ days at a time. Okay? But I know exactly how to purchase my transactions to make sure I'm getting deals. I know plane tickets, always buy them when they send out those nice little discount coupons in the mail. It just is emails. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Right? I know cruises you want to buy far in advance because you get them lower rates when you get them early. When it comes to hotel stays, you don't have to buy them ahead of time. They're actually better deals that you can get closer to your date trips. Car rentals, that's 50/50, right? You can do it far ahead of time if they send you some discount codes, but otherwise the prices are not going to change as much if you wait a week or two out. It's not, especially if you're using some sub places like Hotwire and things of that nature. It helps with the discounted rates. But the organization is understanding and planning what did you want to do for the future. Do you always stick to the budget? No. But when you decide or when you understand, let me plug my computer up, y'all. I thought it was on the charger. It's not. All right. Sorry about that. Um, no, you will not always stick to your budget, but when you know, let's say for instance, you only plan to circulate $150 this week in gas, but something came up to where you had two more extra trips that you needed to take. You had to pick somebody else up that you weren't expecting to, and you end up at $200 or $250 in gas. That means you went over the gas budget. How much did I say at first? 150? I want to make sure my numbers is right? $150 was the budget. You end up circulating $200. You went over by $50. That $50 came from something else. And that is why we budget. Because you need to know that, okay, the shoes that I planned on buying that cost $50, I might not be able to get them shoes this week because that money went to the gas. Otherwise, you start circulating money or spending money. I won't use that word because it needs to be used in this case. You'll start spending money thinking you got it when you had already planned it to use it somewhere else. That's why so many people end up late on bills, right? Because they like, oh, that bill not due to Thursday. I have it. But you then spent recklessly Sunday through Wednesday. And now you like, well, I get paid tomorrow, I'll just pay it then. And now you late. And yeah, creditors don't count it late until it's 30 days. But if you have a habit of always being late and practicing that, then you'll slip up and end up 30 days late. So we want the reason we create the budget, the reason we organize and plan the cash flow is so that we're now in control of what we're doing. Step 3 is we want to balance the cash flow. Sophia, what the heck is you talking about? Once you do your budget, you want to go back and review it. You want to go back and know the next month, let me pull out my bank statement. Let me pull out my credit card statements. So now I can organize it and say, okay, this is how much I budgeted. This is what I actually spent. This is what I budgeted. This is what I spent. And then that way you can now see how you're controlling yourself or how much discipline you may be lacking in a certain area, right? Once you understand that, now you have the control to redirect. When I talked about earlier, that $50 for them shoes that you thought you was gonna have, you don't have it. It's fine. It went to gas. Next month, you can get you the shoes. And then lastly, what happens once you balance your cash flow is that you can recognize if you're less than what you need to make or you're more than what you need to make. And if it's less month after month, it is time to create additional cash flow. How do you create additional cash flow when I'm working a 9 to 5? My boss ain't gonna give me a raise. Then maybe you get creative. Those gifts that you have, you good at designing t-shirts, you good at making gift baskets, you good at being you're a writer, right? Sell this stuff. You're an artist, you have paintings, sell it. That's creating additional cash flow because it's something you can control. It's now additional monies being able to help balance the books. That's accountant talk for you got enough. Okay. All right. This was good. I feel like I talked a lot. So, listen, drop your questions, your comments, your concerns. Let's talk about it. I want to know what you're thinking. How do you feel about this sample from our module? Right? Because that's all we doing is just teasing you with a little bit of our curriculum. So you know exactly what it is that we teaching these kids when we got them in the after school. So you understand exactly what it is that you can have taught to your fellow students and or private groups, right? So drop your questions in the chat. I go back and read them. I do. I do. And I will be the one answering them. I want you to know that. And it opens up community forum conversation. So if there is something that maybe I said somebody disagree with, like, well, you know what? I think this worked better this way. Okay, awesome. I love to learn. I don't just stop reading. Just because I've achieved a certain amount of understanding. I don't stop viewing excellent the financial literacy coaches online, other people learning their tips and tricks and tidbits. We are in an ever-changing environment to where one thing may have worked yesterday and tomorrow, baby, it don't even exist. Hear me. So listen, I grew up in the Excel worksheet era, right? But now they have so many lovely digital apps that are so sexy when it comes to being able to keep track of your budgets. So yeah, Sophia's gonna send you that Excel sheet because it's easy. But once you can see how you can break down and categorize your finances and the way that your money comes in, it makes it easier to translate that into an app because the app is just going to give you the general headings, general titles of things, and it's going to tell you what your total is. But I want you to be able to understand yourself manually exactly how that works. And that's how you become the boss, right? That's how you get in control of your dollars. Now, I always want to make sure that I'm leaving y'all some questions, some things that I want you guys to sit down and think about. So, one, what was your first paycheck experience like, and how did you feel? When you first got that check, you seen your name on it, baby, what did it do for you? How did you feel about it? Second, back to that needs versus wants. How do you decide what's a need versus a want? Remember, I want y'all to talk about it in the chat. And thirdly, how can earning money reflect your values and future goals? And I want to give a part B to that. How does your current spending reflect your values and your current goals? Let that marinate a little bit. I'll make sure that we put the questions down in the chat for you. So in the comment section, so you'll be able to remember them. But I want you to really think about this. Remember, it's all mental first before it becomes physical. Thank you again. As always, these are some upcoming events that we have. Last week, I was just talking your ear off. You ain't know what was going on. So I wanted to make it more presentable to you. So again, our after school program is starting October 21st. The deadline to sign up is October 20th because we got to make sure that we have all of the materials for you printed out and make sure that we have enough food and snacks to be able to feed you when you get there, right? Scan the QR code on the screen and take you straight to our link tree, which will take you straight to the registration. Share it with your family and friends. It is going to be in Detroit, Michigan on the west side. Okay. Once you get to the registration form, you'll be able to see the address and the location. Next up, we're doing the same thing, very similar, but I'll have a group of people with me. Lovely Miss Reverend Barry and Reverend, excuse me, I'm gonna butcher her name, but I'm gonna call her Reverend M for now. They're going to be joining me from the MBA and Disciples Home Missions. Adulting 101, things nobody taught me about money. This is going to be a very similar series with more conversations, with more groups, and we're inviting our young adults out. That starts November the 5th, and it will be on YouTube because NBA has enough followers. And then lastly but not least, listen, we always want feedback on what we're doing. And so we're asking for volunteers for our focus group. It is going to be November 15th and 22nd. Guess what? You get $10 for showing up and telling us about ourselves. Giving them your feedback, right? Being able to talk your talk, right? And about everything financial literacy and getting a better understanding and giving your opinion on how we can improve and or change things, right? There may be some things that you like, I kind of like the way you did that, but that didn't work for me. Or you know what? It would be better if you did this. I told you, we're always looking to grow and learn more. And if you attend both weeks, you get an opportunity to be raffled off for a $50 gift card as well. Look, we want to pay you good just for your mind. So again, that is it. This is week 2. It has been fun. I appreciate you greatly for stopping by. The QR code to take you straight to our website and our link tree to where you can watch the replay. You can check out everything else that we got going on and just open up the doors for so much momentum, right? We have our quizzes on there, our money mindset quizzes on there, challenges on there, day-to-day updates, everything that we got going on. So again, thank you so very much. I appreciate you spending the hour with me. Until next week, much love and blessings. Peace. See y'all later.